Both the monitor and the camera are powered by a V-mount battery on the back because there is a V-mount plate attached to this system here. There's a master kill switch right here, so all the power coming from the battery can be turned on or off right there. You still have access to all the buttons on the side here. You still have access to all the buttons on the top right here. There's a cozy little spot for the screen to be either out or in, with a nice little lip there to actually protect it as well. You've got multiple DTAP ports on the side there. There is space behind the camera body to tuck and hide, keep all your cables tidy. You can still access all the buttons on the back and on the top of the FX3. Tons of different mounting points on the top of the cheese plate here, also on the sides, also on the bottom, and same on this side as well. And if you're looking at this and wondering, well, where's the audio top handle gonna go? There is also a version that integrates that audio top handle as well. In this video, I'm gonna show you how you can build both of these rigs. This is essentially the center of the universe, the meat and potatoes for building both of the rigs that I showed you at the beginning. This is called the Cineback. It is something that Caleb Pike has designed from his company called Camera Foundry. They make it for a variety of different cameras, but just know it sells out incredibly fast. So if you are looking to get your hands on this, make sure you are following him everywhere. He does post when the new drops are going to be able to be bought. So yeah, that is the brains of the operation here, as well as all the other parts that are on the table here. Now, everything you see on here doesn't necessarily come with the Cineback when you buy it. You click the link down below that will show you everything you get with this, but there are a lot of pieces here I've added myself. Now this actually connects to a cage, and there's one of two options that you can purchase. Again, it doesn't come with this. Small rig cage or a tilter cage. I would highly recommend that you get the small rig cage, which is what I have attached to my FX3 here, because it just tends to work a little bit better. I've already got it attached as well as a part on the side here, which allows me to attach my handle. Now when you buy the Cineback, you can either buy it with the top handle version or the just more traditional boxy Cinema Rig version. If you buy it with the boxy one, it's going to look like that. If you buy the audio top handle version, it comes with this essential plate, but it's split into two pieces, and then you join it up right here. As we're building the boxy version first, I've gone ahead and attached the plate to the top there already. So when you buy this small rig cage, one thing I haven't attached right now is this little top part, which goes into the two bolts on the top of the FX3. Arrow pointing forwards. And we need a flathead for this. Yeah, we'll just use this part, which comes with the cage itself. We're going to screw that directly in to the Sony FX3 on the top there. Now with the Cineback, when you buy it, it comes with this little block right here, which does attach in the bottom of the cheese plate. This block is essentially a way for you to align the camera and know how far back to put it. So the block there will stop the cage from going any further back because of the bottom part right there. So we're going to take the screen out because it's going to sit into the space just here. Doesn't matter which orientation, whether it's closed or open, doesn't matter, you can still access that after the fact. So this is going to fit into there. So the back of that block is on the bottom of the cage. We're going to flip this over very carefully, and you will see that it aligns perfectly just here. It does come with all the necessary bolts that you do need, but obviously if you have spares lying around, that's obviously going to help you out as well. We're going to throw that into the bottom there. I'm going to tighten this off a little bit. I've just been doing everything by hand with these because you don't want to strip the threads straight away. Once it's in, then I'll tighten it up with my tool. Doesn't need to be perfectly tight yet. And let's get that screen in there to protect it. Flip it back over. And now we can properly line this up. You may also find that there's a little tiny pin here that you need to push in because it blocks you from moving it too much. There we go. So now we're going to line up those two holes on the top of the cheese plate just there. And we're going to throw in two bolts. Tighten the one up, the other one in. Again, not all the way. And now I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to tighten this up. I also just remembered that I forgot to mention that you do need to remove the battery door if you want to use a dummy battery like I have been. Question is, where is the battery door? Now when it comes to removing the battery door, you may not even know that this comes out. This is what the battery door looks like when it's removed. You're used to just pushing this little switch right here. But if you look right here, you'll see that this piece actually moves in and out on a spring. So what you do is you grab it with your finger and kind of pull it in, and that allows you to release it from the body of the FX3. But we can just go ahead and throw that in there now, and you'll see that there is a nice little cutout right there for the cable to just kind of sit in flush. Did I just make it more complicated having that flying around? Probably. I mean, essentially, that is the basis of the boxy rig build there. Make sure you get these nice and tight, and you'll see that it all just fits together really nicely and it feels like one solid piece, and I immediately love the weight of this. if you want to have stabilization turned off, you definitely can, because it adds a significant bulk to it already, and that's without the battery even on there. One of the nice things with this cage is as well that it has side bolts on 2 sides, so you really can remove any potential for the camera becoming loose inside the cage. If you add at least one of those bolts in there, it stops the movement this way. From here, you can go ahead and start attaching accessories with all the mounting points here, things that you're gonna need. Most people are gonna want a monitor. I'm using a Condor Blue accessory here. I've already attached a NATO rail to the top just with 2 bolts. I'm going to tighten this up. One of the reasons I like this Condor Blue one is it's a NATO rail on one side, and then on the other side it uses their quick release system, which I can then attach my Portkeys PT6, which is covered in fingerprints. Slide that in like that, hit this switch, and this is now a fully movable monitor. If you want it higher or lower, off to the side a little bit, you can really move it around however you want, tighten it up, and that's good. Now, one of the really nice things that Caleb has done with this is there is a lot of excess space right kind of in here. You can't really see it because it's covered inside the body here, but this is hollow from almost like this point across. And you can see it more on this side. There's a gap and there's a little slot under here, and this is almost like you could take this off if you wanted to. And this part right here actually allows you to properly cable manage everything. So if you don't want this just loose around, I mean, I do have a Mondo tie on there, which you can use to hold these in place if you wanted to do it like that. But I still want to tuck most of this cable in here. And that's exactly what you can do. You can literally tuck it in here with your finger. You could remove this if you want and do it a little bit neater, but honestly, just stuff it in there and you'll see it naturally just starts to go up. And now that cable is fully managed in there. That's pretty clean. Now I'm using this is actually an Atomos Ninja power adapter, but you can use whatever you want depending on the monitor that you use. That clips in there instead of a battery. Batteries for these things just don't last long, so I'd rather have it powered. And then we can attach the D-tap on the side just here. And you could tuck this in here as well if you wanted to. I'm not going to right now for the purpose of this video. Monitor is out. You'll see from the top down angle there that the little lip protects the monitor if you were to accidentally hit it for whatever reason on something big. If you hit directly on the monitor, then bad luck to you, but yeah. So that gives it some protection. On the side right here, I'm going to attach a small rig handle which screws in. The nice thing with this handle on the rosette here, you can loosen it slightly and then change the angle for which you want it to be at and tighten it up, and it stays there. It's really secure. From here I'm going to attach an HDMI cable. I'm using one of Gerald's with a little right angle adapter on there. Depending on the monitor you have, you might not need that, but I just like to use it so it's not sticking out so far, and then pop that in there. And then on the side here, FX3, we're going to plug the cable in, but there's one more little nice feature with this cage from Small Rig, and that is if we just put this top down like this, you'll see just, oh, we need to get it right on the right angle. Just here, there is a thread, and that is for the HDMI lock here. So we can pop that just in there and throw a bolt in, nice and tight. And now we can tighten this clamp, and that locks onto the HDMI and means it can't accidentally come out. That's what it looks like from the top down angle there. Attach the battery on the back of the Cineback. I'm using these Small Rig V-mount batteries, and then hit the kill switch on the side just here, which I love, like having a kill switch, like giving me a way to stop the power coming out of the battery for everything, which is part of the reason that I like the Portkeys PT6, because it just has a power switch instead of a button that you need to click and hold. So I can just permanently leave it on and then just control the power coming to both the monitor and the camera at the same time by just hitting that switch. So leave your camera on, leave the monitor on, just hit that switch and everything turns on with that one kill switch. And that is essentially the Cinema Rig build, the boxy one, without the audio top handle. And it's actually surprisingly quick to swap to the top handle version. So let's just remove this monitor first. So all you need to do to add on the audio top handle is remove this screw, and these 2 bolts. So we'll take these 2 out first. This is a Condor Blue tool. Remove these 2, and then take off this plate. Put those 2 bolts to the side, because we're going to need those in a second. take off the top part of the cage there because we need access to the multi-interface to allow us to put the top handle on. When you buy the Sony audio top handle, without this top piece on the top, it just kind of looks like this. But when you buy the Cineback version with the top handle, it comes with this top handle extension, which actually screws in the back there with a nice big bolt. And it really just feels like it's all one piece. It doesn't feel like those are actually two separate pieces and this wasn't actually part of the handle. It's really, really nicely finished and made. It also comes with this part on the top here, which screws directly into the top handle, and then the back of the top handle extension, which just makes it all feel like one piece. I've also added on this small rig extension on the top of the top handle here as well, and then a little tiny or larger NATO rail. So with this part, all you do is put the audio top handle in very carefully to damage those pins. We're not going to tighten it up yet because at the back here you'll see that there's two gaps or two holes that line up with the cage or the cheese plate on the top. So we need to line those up, throw a couple of bolts in. Again, I recommend doing it by hand first. If you can't find the thread first, just go backwards until it clicks, and then that is how you can make sure that you're not going to accidentally thread them until it clicks. There we go. Loosen it up. Okay, so just tightening that by hand. Now I'm going to tighten the bolts on the top of the camera. You might have to kind of apply pressure here just to push it to get it to sit flush into the hole. You don't want to thread the top of your camera. That one's in. Tighten those up. This is why I have the NATO rail on the top there, because I like to put the monitor like this. Attach it on there. Like so. Tighten that up. And I could have the monitor this way if I wanted to. I could have it up high, I could have it off to the side. He says, yeah, off to the side, down. You can have it vertically. Like, there's just so many different ways that you can mount this. This is also a NATO rail on the top here. So you could just mount it to the top of that if you wanted to as well. Just have it a bit more low profile. If you want it the lowest way though, just kind of like that is good. From here, you have options in terms of how you want to cable manage this. Obviously, how you manage the cables for this is going to entirely depend on where you have your monitor. So what I could do here is throw on another Mondo tie onto the handle extension just here, and then have that attached there. But I'm not going to waste the time with that because you can do this however you want. If you don't have your monitor this way and you have it up higher, you can just thread it around the handle actually, and it kind of works well as well. You could cable tie this right into there if you wanted to. If you take this off, you could thread that all in there, have it nicely all tucked away. Attach the power back to the monitor. Now throw your mic on the top there. This is a nice short mic. XLR, pop that in there. One of the really nice things about this cable is it is a really thin profile right angle XLR cable. These are hard to find. This one is called, I think it's from Calvin Cables or something. Alvin Cables, I think. Move all this stuff out the way. And that is your Cinema Rig build for the FX3 with the audio top handle on there. And you will have to experience how this feels, because it feels like that is genuinely part of the entire body. It feels like it's an FX6, essentially. It is a very nicely designed system. Everything about this has been thought out very, very well. It's all finished nicely. There's no sharp edges. It's all super smooth. There's no movement in there whatsoever. It's just solid. It feels like it is actually designed this way, which I'm sure was not easy to do. 4 ports on the D-tap there, which is built into the Cineback. You can still access all your buttons on the top there. You can still access the zoom rocker if you're using a power zoom lens. You can still access all your buttons on the back there. You can still access your menu button if you're worried about that. You have to put your thumb in there, but you can still get to it. Still access your on-off switch on the side there if you wanted to. That sits flush in there, either in, or you can have it out if you wanted it on the side there. You still access all your ports. Got the HDMI lock on there. Tons of mounting points on the bottom, on the side of the top handle, on the side of the top handle extension. You've got tons on the top here of the plate as well, on the cheese plate. You've also got more on the sides, on the rear, tons on the bottom here as well. Like, you could really just customize this however you want. It is probably the best way that you can make your FX3 a proper cinema rig. Thank you, Caleb, for sending this through for me to check out and try out. I've been watching him post about this and design it for a while, and it's really, really interesting to see it come to fruition and work as well as it does. Everything we've talked about for both of these rigs will be listed below with all the links. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.